Okay, once again, welcome back everyone. So the next session, we will have our very own Dato Lee Lin Fong, who is also the founder and managing partner of Lee and Partners. And he is also the director of Lee and Partners Legacy Advisory, Sendirian Berhad. So the next session, he will be talking about trust and how trust is packaged with insurance and also about life planning. So let's welcome Dato Lee.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Lee. Nice to see you all. I've been with you all since the morning, so I've seen some good questions and also a great participation. So maybe I can just explain again about this legacy advisory program. So in fact, this legacy advisory program will cover on will writing, on trust advisory, on asset protection, and also on the life planning. Then also we also can help clients in their investment, local investment, offshore investment, overseas investment. So it's a whole package. So we call it legacy advisory. So earlier on, we have a friend asking us about how to be a professional will writer. In fact, this program is meant for you to be the professional, not only in the will writing, but also in the trust advisory, also in the asset protection, and also the life planning. This is what the program is about. So we need you all to be more interactive, to ask questions as and when you have any questions, so that we will be able to explain to you to make sure that you have the full understanding. So today we'll cover, our Nicolau has covered on the will writing part. Now I'm going to cover on the trust advisory. Later on, we'll cover on the insurance and also the life planning. This is the program for today. So tomorrow morning, we will have an exam for all of you. If a 50 multiple questions exam, very easy. So far, none of our participants has failed in this exam. So please make sure you do not break our record. Otherwise, you'll be the record holder. Okay. So as long as you pay attention in this program, and after this, we will share our PPT to you all. So not to worry about the exam, but we must have the exam to make sure you have the full understanding, you have the correct understanding about will and trust. Then later on, if you pass the exam, we'll give you a certificate. We'll give you a certificate that you have passed and completed this legacy advisory program. Okay, then tomorrow after the exam, our Nicola will show you our system. We have an online will writing system, okay, in which you can just leverage on our system, just filling up the forms. Then our system will auto-generate a will for you. Very easy. Okay, so you also link with the payment page, payment system, agency system. So it's a very complete system. It's the first in Malaysia. It's the first in Malaysia. So it is everyone's burden in coming up with the will writing. So tomorrow, our Nicola will explain the system to you all, and also will show you how a will looks like, a complete will, how does it look like. So tomorrow we'll cover on that. Then tomorrow afternoon also, we'll share with you about the marketing strategy, about the sales strategy, how to turn this knowledge into your income. So how you can make full advantage of your knowledge gained during this 2 days program. Then you can use up the knowledge to help your family and friends to do up their wills, their trust, and at the same time also you can make some extra income. This is whole program about. Okay, I hope it's clear to you all. Then we can really make sure you'll be fully benefited from this program. Okay, so let's come back to this program. Nicole has explained to us about everything about will writing. What are the requirements? What are the criteria? What are the benefits? What is the pro and cons if you do not have a will? So, but is a will really sufficient? Is will really sufficient to safeguard our interests, to preserve our wealth? The answer is no. Why no? Because as you all aware, will is only the documents for us to decide how we are going to distribute our assets to our loved ones. But after the assets are being distributed to them, we have no control. How are they going to spend? How are they going to use with the asset? So we have no control at all. That's why based on statistics, most of the estates are being spent off within a period of 2 to 3 years, especially when their family members do not have sufficient knowledge, competent financial knowledge in managing the assets. So that's why after 2 to 3 years, so all the assets were just gone. So that's why it defeat the whole purpose for us to work so hard, to invest so hard, to make sure we leave behind a lot of assets to our family members. But after all, they will just finish off all our assets, all our estates in just 2 to 3 months. So this is something we don't want. That's why if you have such a concern, the better way would be having a trust. So let us come to this trust topic. Okay, will is not sufficient because few scenarios. Let us share with you. These are all real case study. Client is the sole breadwinner of the family, meaning to say this client is the only financial provider of the family. He is the only one making income, making money for the family. So if this client pass away, there is no one else who can provide financial assistance to the family. So if you just have the will and you just distribute the asset to your wife, to your children, but if they do not have the knowledge to manage the asset, if they do not have the knowledge about, for example, managing the property, how much to sell the property or how much to rent the property, then they will not be able to really manage your assets. So later on, they may be cheated or they may be conned, then your estate will just be gone. So just to share one real case example, this is a client of us. She is a very lovely Indian lady. She had a very loving husband. The husband is a businessman. She worked very hard. Then um, the husband passed away due to some incident, leaving behind about 1 million estate. So to all of us, 1 million may not be that big, but it's not small as well. So but all of us believe that the husband worked so hard to accumulate the wealth of 1 million is to make sure that the wife and the children has a sufficient wealth to carry on with their life. But what happened was the 1 million transferred to the wife, okay? But there's only a will, there's no trust. So it's up to the wife how she's going to spend with the money. So for this case, so this Indian lady is living in a very close community. Okay, so the whole community knows that this lady is a millionaire now. Okay, so whenever they need any help, like for example, any children, any neighbors' children that need help, maybe for starting up their business, maybe to buy house, maybe they have some financial difficulty, or there's any family with some emergency needs, like hospitalized, everyone will come to this Indian lady for help. So can you imagine 1 million? She just spent off the 1 million in just 2 to 3 years time, and not only finish off all the 1 million in 2 to 3 years time, she is in the bad debt after 2 to 3 years. Why? Because there are many of the neighbors, friends, family, relatives came to her for investment. Then she also trusted on them. She just invested on them, but all those investments failed. Then she didn't manage to get back any return on the investment. Then she even lost all the investment capital. And also later on, she also invested on some businesses. Then that's where he incurred all the additional liabilities. That's why she is in the bad debt a few years. So this is a real case example where the husband worked so hard, earned so much, and leaving behind 1 million to the family, hoping that the family can carry on with their life, the children can still go for the schools, can still carry on with the educations, the family can remain with the same lifestyle. But the fact is, when your family members are not good enough in their financial knowledge, are not competent enough in managing the assets, so your asset will not last long. Maybe in a just matter of 2 to 3 years, all your asset will be gone. Okay, next. There are family members or pets at home with special needs and care. So as I mentioned, will is only a document for you to distribute your assets to your loved ones. But if your loved ones, your family members, or even your pets, if they cannot manage themselves, if they have some financial or they have some physical handicaps, or some may be mentally handicapped, like those Down syndrome family members, or some may be paralyzed, some may be handicapped. Even though you leave behind the money to them also, they will not be able to carry on with their life because they need someone to take care of them. Okay, so if that's the case, then even if you leave behind the money to them, they will not be able to carry on with their life. They will not be able to sustain. That's why we will need a trust to make sure that the trust can take care of them. Okay, you can see from this news how Lagerfeld's cat, shop pet, could be one of the richest pets after inheritance. So if you are a branded lover, Karl Lagerfeld is the chief designer of Chanel. She has no family members but a cat. So to him, cat is his family member. That's why he left behind all his estate to this cat. That's why this cat could be the richest cat after inheritance. This is a real case study. Okay. Third scenario, where there are family members who are gamblers or failures. I'm sure all of you have heard similar stories. The parents leave behind a lot of fortunes to the children, but the children is a gambler. He may just finish off all the fortune in just 1 to 2 years time. So this is very common. Or they may be drug takers, or they may be spendthrift. That's why regardless how much estates you leave behind to them, they will just finish off everything in just a very short period of time. This is a Chinese newspaper. It's a China Press. This Australian spent off the father's asset of 3.52 million and only leaving behind 60 ringgit. He just spent off all the money for for shopping for the girlfriends. So this is something that we need to really ponder. Is doing a will is really sufficient to preserve your assets for your loved ones? Okay, last but not least, there are illegitimate relationships which is not protected under the law. For example, nowadays a lot of gay relationships or lesbian relationships where they cannot get married legally, but in actual fact they are like husband and wife. So if they want to uh, pass on their assets to those boyfriend or girlfriends. So they need a trust to really make sure that those assets can pass on to them. This is another good example here. Do you know him? He is Stanley Ho, the king of gambler in Macau. As you can see from this picture, he has 4 families. First wife, second wife, third wife, and fourth wife. We are talking about wife, you know. We have not talked about girlfriends. These are only wife. So he owns 4 families. So as we all know, there's only one legal marriage. The rest are called so-called illegitimate marriage. That's why legally speaking, will is not sufficient to preserve the wealth for the second family, third family, fourth family, or even the girlfriend. That's why he's wise enough to set up a trust to take care of all the son, all the children, and the grandchildren. It stated that this Stanley Ho owns a fortune of 500 billion. So he set up a family trust and it helped him to preserve the wealth of 500 billion. Okay, so with that, I believe most of you understand why we need a trust and how a trust works. So now we come into the substance. Okay. What is a trust? Okay. Trust is a legal arrangement that allows the settlor to give away assets to the trustee to hold for the benefits of the beneficiary. So as compared to will, it doesn't give away the assets directly to the beneficiaries because we don't want the beneficiaries to be spendthrift to spend off all the assets within a very short period of time. So what we can do is we give away the assets to the trustee, but the trustee will manage the trust for us according to our instructions to take care of our family members and our beneficiaries. Okay, we have a video to show with you now.
A lot of people think trusts are only for the super wealthy. Not true. Trust can benefit anyone who wants to manage how they leave their money to their family. A trust can give you control over who gets what and when, how they get it, and why. How do trusts work? Trusts are like containers you can put things into. You, the grantor, can place assets like your house, life insurance policies, investments, and other possessions into a trust. These assets become property of the trust and are managed by your trustee. You appoint the trustee to ensure your wishes are carried out. As grantor, you decide who receives the assets inside your trust. Typically, your spouse, your children, grandchildren, and charities of your choice are the beneficiaries who receive the assets held in trust. When you create a trust, you determine how the funds inside your trust will be used and when they will be dispersed. For example, you may want to use assets in your trust to jumpstart your children's careers when they're 25, or supplement their retirement when they turn 60, or pay college tuition expenses for your grandchildren, or provide annual scholarships to your alma mater. Your appointed trustee ensures everything is managed according to your instructions. It's important to know there are different kinds of trusts for different purposes. Some are designed to manage who receives your assets and when. Others may offer tax planning benefits. Make sure you work with financial experts so that your trusts are properly structured to carry out your specific intentions. Trust can offer you and your family many financial advantages. Talk with your advisor and an estate planning attorney. Find out how trust can help you create a lasting legacy for those you love the most.
Okay, so this is a simple video, talks about the trust. So now let's come to the substance. So these are the main governing laws. So including Power of Attorney Act 1949, Stamp Act 1949, Trust Companies Act 1949, Trustee Incorporation Act 1952, Civil Law Act 1956, Financial Services Act 2019. So not to worry, you just need to know these are the acts governing this trust law. You don't really have to go through all the acts. So you are not here for a law exam. You're only here for the legacy advisory exam. So you just need to know those are the relevant acts about trust. Okay? Okay. So these are the terms in the trust arrangement. First, trust. Trust is the amana. In Mandarin, we call it Sing Tuo. Bahasa is called amana. Trust is a trust. Okay. So trust deed is a document for the trust in which the settlor will write down how the trust shall be managed and how the trust should benefit the beneficiaries. This is trust deed. That is the document. Trustee. Trustee is the one holding the trust assets. It can be the individual, can be a corporate. And a corporate trustee, usually we refer to the corporate trustee like RHB trustee, Maybank trustees. Those are all corporate trustees. So usually we will encourage clients to appoint corporate trustee because corporate trustee is long lasting, it's more established, then they will not have the issue of those trustee pass away, trustee run away with the money. So that's why it's always advisable to go for those corporate trustees. Okay, this is how trust work. First of all, the client is the settlor. So if you are setting up the trust, you are the settlor, you are the asset owner. So you establish the trust and contribute the assets to the trust. Then the trustee will come in and manage the trust and distribute the funds to the beneficiaries. Then the beneficiaries will receive the income and or capital from the fund. So this is a very simple structure of a trust. Okay, so there are three parties. One is settlor, one is trustee, another one is the beneficiary. As simple as that. Okay, here we have a very interesting example to share with you all. This is the comparison between the Eastern family and Jewish family. Okay, for Eastern family, if we have 1 million, we will only use 10%, which is 100,000 for our own enjoyment. Then we'll preserve 90% for 900,000 for our beneficiaries. As compared to Jewish families, if they have 1 million, they'll use up 90% or 900,000 for their own enjoyment, and they'll only allocate 10% or 100,000 to buy one insurance policy worth 1 million. Then they'll park the insurance proceeds to the trustee. Okay, so they'll assign the insurance policy to the trustee to set up the insurance trust. Then the trustee will manage the 1 million for the beneficiaries to make sure that the estate can pass on to their children and to their grandchildren and so on and so forth. But for our Eastern family, as you can see here, we work so hard, but we are so stingy to ourselves. We only spend 10% on ourselves. Then the 90% we keep for our beneficiaries. Then they get it so easily, they don't appreciate, then they just easily finish off. So it's not really a right way to do it. So that's why this is a point for you to think about. Shall we also learn from the Jews, or to love ourselves more, or to keep more fun for our own enjoyment? Then we leverage on the insurance policy to get the big insurance proceeds for our trust. Then our trustee will manage the trust to take care of our beneficiaries for us. I'll come into that in the insurance part later on into more detail. How long can a trust last? A trust can last for a period of 80 years and is renewable after every 80 years. So in Malaysia, it's 80 years. For some other countries can be longer. Singapore is 106 years, if I'm not mistaken. So different countries, different trust law. Malaysia is only 80 years. That's why you can set up a trust for 80 years, plus 80 years, plus 80 years. It depends on how you want to word it in your trust deed. Okay, these are the types of trust. So not to worry about the terms, it's all having the same structure, just for different purposes. First, testamentary trust. Testamentary trust is a trust clause in a will. We do not encourage clients to do this testamentary trust because it's only in the will documents. It's not in the trust deed. You do not really have a corporate trustee to ensure the perpetual of the trust. That's why it's always advisable to set up a trust under a trust deed, but not a testamentary trust. Secondly, we have this, we call it living or private trust. Living or private trust, that means you set up the trust during your lifetime, and the trust can be effective immediately during your lifetime, not necessarily after you pass on. So that's why you need to put in your personal assets, including maybe your properties, your unit trust, your insurance, your shares. You put in all your personal assets into the trust. This is what we call living or private trust. Then the third type is the insurance trust. That means we don't transfer our properties to the trust. We don't put in our own cash, our own shares, our own unit trust into the trust. But we are only buying insurance policy. Then we assign the insurance policy to the trust. So we call it insurance trust. This is the most affordable and the easiest way of funding a trust. So we'll come into that later on. For investment trust, that means we may be investing into some shares, some unit trust, then we transfer the ownership of the investment to the trust. Then the trust can carry on with the investment. Then whatever investment proceeds will be distributed to our beneficiaries according to our trust. Fifth, we have the asset protection trust. How to do it? That means if we have any clean assets, for example, you have any properties, you have fully paid off the loan, so you can transfer the property into this trust. Then later on, even if we are made a bankrupt, so our creditors cannot go against these properties because all of the properties has been transferred to the trust, already separated from our own personal assets. That's why the creditors cannot go against our assets, which has been transferred to the trust. But there are certain conditions. We will come into the condition later on. Then last, we have this business value protection trust, or we call it business succession trust. So we have another chapter to cover on that. So we'll explain further on that. Okay. Why trust? First, we want to make adequate provision for our family in the case of unforeseen circumstances. So we can set up the trust to provide for the unforeseen circumstances. For example, if they are hospitalized, so how we are going to distribute the fund in the trust. If they need any educations, or if there's any unforeseen circumstances, how we are going to manage the trust. Second, preservation of wealth within families. So as explained before, we don't want them to get the asset one off. then they can just finish off all the assets within a very short period of time. So we want to preserve the wealth. Third, we want to protect family with illness or special needs. For example, the Down syndrome, handicapped or paralyzed. So we need to protect them. Fourth, we want to protect against spendthrift beneficiaries. Fifth, we want to assist in tax planning. Okay, so a lot of countries, they set up the trust because they want to save tax. Why? Because those countries, they are having this called inheritance tax. By Malaysia, we used to have inheritance tax, but as at now, there's no. But we are not sure whether it will come back again. There are a lot of rumors saying that the inheritance tax may come back anytime. So if you transfer your assets to the trust, okay, during your lifetime, that means if we pass on, the asset is no longer under our name, the assets are owned by the trustee, then the trustee can manage the assets for our loved one, for our beneficiaries, and it's not subject to the inheritance tax because those properties are not under our name when we are passing on. Okay, so next, to make a gift or donations in the trust, we can have a trust arrangement saying that, or every year we want to give such amount of donation to orphanage, to old folks home, to whatever NGO that you want to support. So this is possible. And last, we want to protect our assets. So this is explained before. We transfer our assets to the trust so that later on, even if our business turn a failure, even if we are being claimed by our creditors, even if you are bankrupt, then our creditors cannot go against the assets because it has been transferred to the trust. Okay, so this is the main purposes of having a trust. Some people may ask, I foresee that I'll be a bankrupt in maybe 6 months' time. Can I transfer my assets to the trust now? Then, so that my creditors cannot claim my assets after I'm being made a bankrupt. This is a very common question. So I have a simple chart here. Okay, you can refer to this chart. Let's say you created the trust in the beginning of the chart. Then you are a bankrupt within 2 years. Then Director General Insolvency can call back the asset transferred into the trust in the event of bankruptcy within 2 years. In simple terms, you can transfer out your asset now, but the transfer is void. If you are a bankrupt within 2 years, the Director General Insolvency they have the right to call back your assets. This is the law. I'm telling you the law first. Later on, I'm going to share with you about the practical aspect. Okay. So second scenario, you will see if you are made a bankrupt from 3rd to 5th year, the transfer is voidable. DGI call back asset transfer into trust in the event of bankruptcy, unless settlor can prove that settlor has the ability to pay all debts without the aid of property, and interest in the property has passed to the trustee. Meaning to say, if we can prove that we have other assets, we have other properties, we have other cash to settle our debts without the aid of this property, okay, then the Director General Insolvency will not be able to call back this transfer of assets. It's done within 3 to 5 years from the date we are made a bankrupt. Okay, but if you are a bankrupt after 5 years, if you are bankrupt after 5 years, you are safe. All your trust assets will be free from all your creditors. No creditors can claim against your assets, which you have created and transferred to the trust 5 years ago. Okay, this is the law. But now I'm going to tell you the practical aspect. So practically speaking, EGI, they will only ask you what assets do you own upon your bankruptcy. they do not really bother what you own prior to your bankruptcy. So this is the real facts. But the thing is, if your creditors, they know that you are transferring your assets out, before the bankruptcy, your creditors can report to the DGI and ask DGI to call back your assets. Okay, so in simple terms, so if you have any assets which you intend to transfer out before your bankruptcy, so make sure you do it quickly and silently without the knowledge of the creditors or the DGI. So if they find out under the law, first 2 years is void, third to fifth year is voidable, after 5 years is free. Okay, so you have the complete knowledge about this, so you decide what to do and you decide how to advise your own clients. Okay, next, no inheritance, no capital gain tax in the budget 2019. But we are not sure whether it will be introduced or we call it reintroduced again in the next budget. So that's why if you are aware, a lot of the rich families, they are setting up their family trust now before the introduction of the inheritance tax. They don't want the LHDM to go against their executor or their beneficiaries after they pass on. So now we have more detail about each type of the trust. Okay, if you have any questions, you can type in the chat box. We'll come into the Q&A after all the details. Okay, private trust is the most common living trust created by settlor to provide regular maintenance for education, for living, for medical, for his or her dependents, or those who require special need or care. Okay, all this we have covered. You can set up a private trust to take care of the widow, of the minor, of the elderly parents, of the spendthrift child, of the handicapped. And the trust administration takes effect immediately when trust is created. So we set up the trust and it's effective immediately. It's not to wait until you pass on. So this is what we call private trust. And it's funded by your liquid assets or your income generated asset. For example, your shop lot, your properties, your investments, your cash. You can just transfer all your personal assets into this trust. And the trust will be managed according to your instructions in the trust deed for your beneficiaries. Okay, a private trust can be fixed or discretionary. Meaning, if it's discretionary, we give power to the trustee to decide how to distribute and how to manage. And of course, not all clients, they love it. Most of the clients, they want it to be fixed. They want to determine how they want to distribute, how they want to manage. And the trustee can only carry on the duties according to the trust. Secondly, trustee holds and manages the trust asset and provides maintenance to beneficiary monthly, quarterly, or yearly. It's up to you entirely. You can decide to distribute monthly, quarterly, or yearly. It's very flexible, or even weekly. So you can set up clearly in the trust, then the trustee will just follow your instruction. And the best part is you can also impose certain conditions to be fulfilled by beneficiaries to receive the benefits from the trust. For example, you can say that they must complete their tertiary education before they can claim and enjoy the trust assets. We have one client setting this condition. He want the beneficiary to have one medical degree and also one degree. So we think it's quite tough, or it's quite tough for the children to be two professionals, i.e. the doctor and also a lawyer, for him to claim the assets. So it may piss off the beneficiaries if you impose those unreasonable condition in the trust. Okay, this one we already explained earlier. A settlor just set up a private trust. The trustee will manage the private trust for your dependent or your immediate beneficiary. This is a Hong Kong artist. The name is Lydia Samdinha. She left behind 50 million after 40 years of this entertainment career. Then he appointed the ex-husband Chao Gun to manage the trust for her. And this is another Hong Kong artist. This is the pageant winner. It's called Lei Ka-yan. A lot of people say that this Lei Ka-yan is very beautiful because he married to a rich girl, to a tycoon's son. The father-in-law is a king of ship, or we call it shipping king in Hong Kong. But this old man is very wise. He doesn't dispute the assets. He transfers 100% of the assets to the trust. Then the trustee will manage the trust for him and to pay 1.07 million to Lei Ka-yan every month for her pocket expenses. They said, wow, like that also called very pitiful. So I also want to be pitiful to get 1 million every month as my pocket expenses. So this is another real case example. Okay, now we come to insurance trust. Insurance trust is a declaration of trust created by using insurance policy, where the trust will only receive insurance money during the triggering event, for example, death, for benefiting beneficiaries. Trust administration only takes effect upon triggering event, for example, death. This is the most easily funded trust where settlor continue to pay low premium. You only need to pay the premium for the insurance. You don't have to come out with the 1 million, or you only pay the insurance premium on monthly basis or on yearly basis. Then settlor can include more policies from time to time. So this is a ready fund to maintain your dependent if there is a sudden unfortunate event. And settlor can allocate special funds for beneficiaries, for example, education, business capital, and etc. Settlor to ensure the insurance policy is wisely used by the beneficiaries. Okay, this is the insurance trust structure. So you are the settlor and you are also the policy holder. Then you buy one insurance policy. Then you assign the insurance policy to the trustee, put into this insurance trust. Okay, you assign the insurance policy to the trustee. So if anything happens to you, insurance company will pay off the insurance proceeds to the trustee, and the trustee will manage the insurance proceeds according to your trustee to take care of your dependents. This is how it works. Okay, we give you one example here. For example, you have 1 million. You can spend 900,000 for yourself for your own enjoyment. Then you spare 100,000 to buy insurance. For example, it's only 1,000 per month. So you pay 1,000 per month to insurance company as the insurance premium. Then if anything happened to you, insurance company will pay 1 million to the trustee. So you have one beautiful wife, you have one handsome son, and one beautiful daughter. So your trustee also does the same thing. He'll help your wife to buy another insurance policy, to pay 1,000 per month, to buy insurance. If your wife passed on, then there's another 1 million insurance proceeds to be paid into this trust. Then again, your trustee also spend 1,000 per month to buy insurance for your son. If anything happened to your son, then there's also 1 million insurance proceeds being paid to your trust. Then again, your trustee also use another 1,000 per month to buy insurance for your daughter. Anything happened to your daughter, there's an additional 1 million to be paid to the trustee. Then do you think your trust fund can just easily finish off? So it won't, because you have started with the 1 million insurance proceeds. Then the insurance company will continue paying 1 million for each of your family members if anything happened to them. Then what you can do is you can appoint a fund manager in your trust who will help you to manage your fund, to do investments, and also to pay off all your trustee fee, your fund manager fees. Then generate investor income for you. Then you can use the investment income to take care of your family needs, for their daily expenses, for medical needs, for education, for vacation, and etc. And also it can take care of your family emergency events and fulfill your personal wishes, for example, your charity, and so on. So this is a very complete insurance trust mechanism. So you doesn't have to come up with 1 million cash to be paid to this trust to set up this family trust. All you need to do is buy 1 million policy, or you just pay 1,000 per month as your insurance premium. If anything happened to you, then there is 1 million cash being paid to this insurance, being paid to this trustee. And the trustee will manage the trust money for you to take care of your loved ones. This is how it works. Okay. Earlier on, there are some participants asking about this insurance nomination versus insurance trust. Okay, you can see this comparison table. For insurance nomination, it depends on whether it's a trust policy or non-trust policy. For a trust policy, you can only name your spouse and your children or parents as the nominee. But under the insurance trust, you can name anyone as your beneficiary, including a company or a charity. And under the insurance nomination, you cannot have substitute beneficiaries. But under insurance trust, you can have a lot of substitute. For example, you said, I want to give this money to A. If A predeceases me, I'll give it to B. If B predeceases me, I'll give it to C. You can have this kind of arrangement. So payment, insurance nomination, if anything happened to you, insurance company will pay the insurance money to your nominee one-off, a lump sum. But under insurance trust, even though the insurance company paying to your trustee one-off lump sum, but your trustee will manage the trust money according to your trust deeds. So in other words, it can be customized for each of the beneficiaries. Then under insurance nomination, you cannot attach any conditions before payment to beneficiaries. So insurance company doesn't bother what kind of condition you want to set. They will just distribute the insurance proceeds according to your nomination. They will just pay one lump sum. They will not consider any of the condition imposed by you. But under insurance trust, you can impose your condition in your insurance trust. It can be specified to be fixed or discretionary. So you can also take into account of the unborn child, actual or impending divorce or bankruptcy of the beneficiary. So here we mentioned about bankruptcy of beneficiary. One, if you are aware, if you name your children to be your nominee in the insurance policy. So if when you pass on, your children is a bankrupt, so the insurance company will just pay the insurance proceeds to your children. Okay, but because this is a trust policy, so your creditors cannot claim from your children. But if you are not nominating your children to be your your nominee in the insurance policy. If you are naming other beneficiaries and they are bankrupt, so the creditors can still go against the bankrupt. Uh, the creditors can still go against the your children because they are bankrupt. So that's why no point to give them all the insurance money one off. So it's always good to transfer to the trustee first. Then let the trustee to take care of your children for you, especially those having bankruptcy. Then they'll just pay the pocket money to your children on the monthly basis. Okay, so that they can still enjoy your trust fund. Can a protector be appointed to watch over the usage of the fund? Under insurance nomination, no. Under insurance trust, yes. Can representative claim on behalf of life assured in coma or total permanent disability? Under insurance policy, no. Under insurance trust, yes. Then who handle minor children proceeds? So under your insurance policy is only the guardians. But under the insurance trust is the trustee following your trust instruction. Okay. So we have covered for all those family trust and the private trust, okay, and also insurance trust. So we'll explain further in the insurance session that later in about the insurance trust. So we take a short break before we come to this business session trust because this is quite technical and after our lunchtime, so I believe it's quite tough for everyone. So everyone can take a short break. So we come back after 10 minutes, then we will continue with the business session trust. Okay, thank you. please make yourself at home. Don't be too serious then, so that you can still absorb whatever knowledge you are sharing here. So we know trust is a bit tough for some of you. So please ask if you are not sure, if you are not clear. So I'll do my best to explain. Okay. So let's continue with the business succession trust. Okay. Okay, good. Mala is still fresh. So I hope everyone is also fresh. Please feel free to take any eat or anything or coffee to keep yourself awake. Okay, why are we coming to this business succession trust? So a lot of us, we are very hardworking. We put in a lot of effort and time into our business. We make it a successful one. But none of us think about preserving the business for our next generation. We never think about how much our company worth, how much our business worth in the event we pass on. You just ask yourself, if you have one business, okay, you may be the sole proprietor, you may be in partnership with others, you may be having other shareholders, but we just ask ourselves, if anything happened to us, what happened to our business? Who is going to take over our business? Can your business still carry on? Or can your other partners or shareholders, they buy out your shares and pay the sufficient value to your family members? This is the question I want you to think. So I would say 90% of the business cannot pass on to our loved ones. Why? For many reasons. First, there is no business succession plan. There is no one else to take over our business. Or we have partnership or we have other shareholders, but they are not willing or they are not ready to come up with a big sum of money to buy over your shares when you pass on. This is a very cruel fact. Your business may be very valuable when you're still alive, when you're still very active into your business. But the question now is how much your business worth when you pass on? This is the question all of us should ask ourselves. Okay, let us come to this substance, business succession trust. Business succession trust is an instrument to protect the value of the business. It provides for the smooth transition and continuity of business interest to the surviving business owners when one of the shareholders pass away or suffer critical illness or total permanent disability. Okay, this is what I just explained earlier. So when any of the shareholders pass away, what happened to his shares? What happened to the business? How to make sure your business can still carry on with the same business, with the same profits, with the same revenues. This is the thing that we need to work on. Okay, why we need a business succession trust? First, we guarantee the sale. So we guarantee that our other surviving shareholder can buy the shares from us. We want to guarantee the sale. We don't want our family members to go outside or ask people, hey, you want to buy my late husband's share or not? You want to buy my late father's share or not? So it doesn't work. So we want to guarantee the sale. We want to make sure our surviving partners or shareholders will be buying over our shares. We want to guarantee the sale. Second, pricing is predetermined. So we can discuss with our partners or shareholders how much our company worth, how much our shares worth. So we predetermine the price. Third, to make sure the smooth and quick transfer by trustee using power of attorney. I'll come into that later on. Fourth, can convert the non-liquid business interest providing liquidity. For example, you are running a hardware shop. As we all know, hardware shop will have a lot of stocks. They keep a lot of stocks in the business. So it's all non-liquid business interest. But when any of the shareholders they pass away, how you turn all these stocks into cash. So we can leverage on this business succession trust. And fifth, business owners can run the business without interference of deceased family. You just imagine you have already learned about will, about distribution act. So if one of the shareholders they pass away without any wills, so your your deceased shareholders, wife, parents, children, they were all coming to your business to inherit the shares. So your partners from one partner now become maybe 5 to 6 partners. So wow, so very happening, but you may not want it. And six, as are free of the hassles of managing a business, which they are not familiar, while at the same time guarantee an income. If you ask your children, if you ask your loved one, do they really want to manage your business? Most of the time they don't want. Most of the time they have their own interest, they have their own ambition. They are not interested in taking over of your business. So all they want is the money. All they want is the proceeds of your shares, of your partnership. So you just make sure you sell your shares to your other partners, then they get the cash. This is what they want. And last, we can prevent the beneficiary from misusing or misspending. Again, if you pass on your business to them, if they're not familiar with your business, they don't appreciate your business, they may just simply mismanage your business. They may just simply spend all your business income, then your business also cannot last long. That's why we need a business succession trust. Okay, maybe I can give you one example, then you can understand that better. Okay, for example, there are 3 shareholders, A, B, C. They are running a restaurant. The restaurant is called ABC Restaurant. ABC Restaurant is owned by this company called ABC Sendran Berhad. Okay, A, B, and C are 3 directors and 3 shareholders of the company. All of them owning 1/3 share of the company. So one day, C caught in an accident and passed away. Okay, imagine if C doesn't have a will. So what happens to the C's 1/3 shares? It will follow the Distribution Act. Let's say C's parents are still around, C's wife is still around, and C's are having 6 children. Okay, so that means the 1/3 share will be transferred to the parents. The parents will be sharing on the 1/4 of the shares. That means each of the parents will get 1/8 share of the company. Then the wife will get another 1/4. Then the 6 children will be sharing on the half of the company shares. So from one shareholder, now you have 9 new shareholders, replacing only 1 shareholder. Then the children may be coming to your business or take money from your drawer, take money from your restaurant counter. Then they may just come over to get food or get whatsoever for free. Or they may also simply tell you that, oh, before my father passed away, he always give me pocket money, 1,000 per day. So now my father no longer here, you need to take care of me. So imagine 6 of the children, they come to you every day to get 1,000 from you every day. So what can you do? So, okay, then you may not want to have any conflicts with that. Then you may come with the conclusion, okay, I might as well just buy off your one-third share. You may offer them to buy over their shares. Then they may come back to you telling you, okay, you want to buy over, can. I think this restaurant is doing quite well. So I think this business worth 10 million. So you pay me 3.33 million, then you can buy off my shares. You think it's possible? This is happening every day. So the deceased family member will just ask for the ridiculously high amount from the surviving shareholders. They will ask for a very huge amount. Then if you cannot pay, they'll say, oh, if that's the case, then I will just remain in the company. I'll just keep the shares. So, but there's another way around where these family members, they are not familiar with the business. Then A and B will be telling the C family, look, our company is not making any profit. That's why you are not entitled to any dividend. You are not entitled to any profit sharing. But in actual fact, the restaurant may be making a very good income, may be making a very good profit. But after C passed away, because the C's family are not familiar with the business, so the family members cannot manage the business, has no control over the business, and ended up the wanted shares to them has no value because they cannot claim any profits from the business. So it works both ways. So after all, you cannot agree with the value of the shares. Okay, then let's say one day the family members telling the surviving shareholders, okay, now maybe I don't want 3.3 million anymore. You just pay me 1 million. Then I can sell off all my shares to you. But you think A and B has 1 million to pay to the C family? They may not have. Because most of us, if we have extra money, we may already invest into the business, or we invest into property, or we invest into other investments. We will not keep so much physical cash into the bank doing nothing. Because nowadays, as we all are aware, the saving account has minimal interest, the FD only about 1.7% interest for the fixed deposit accounts. So we won't keep so much cash. We will just use for investment. Then if they want 1 million, so how? You think A and B has the money to pay to the C's family to buy off the 30% shares? Most of the time, no. Then for the C's family, they do want the shares, but they also do not get the income. So what they can do? They just come to the restaurant to get the money from the drawer, to get free food every day, to interfere the business. Then later or sooner, the business cannot sustain and will just close down. This is very common. That's why all of us, we don't want this to happen. That's why we want to have a business succession trust, meaning A, B, and C will have a buy-sell agreement, agreeing on the price, agreeing on the value of the business, agreeing on the, let's say, A, B, and C. Now, A, B, and C, assuming they are all still alive. So they all sit down and discuss. Okay, for example, this business worth 10 million. That means A, B, and C, their shares worth 3.33 million each. So we already predetermined the company value. We already predetermined the shares of each shareholders. So now we also signed the buy-sell agreement to guarantee the sale of our shares. Then all of us will buy one insurance of 3.33 million on their own life. 3.33 million insurance on A, 3.33 insurance on B, and 3.33 insurance on C. Each of them will be getting one policy of 3.33 million each to insure their own life. So assuming if C pass away, insurance company will pay 3.33 million to the C's beneficiary. Then the C's shares, the C's wanted shares will be transferred to A and B in equal shares. Then A and B doesn't need to come up with their own money to buy the shares from C. So that's why it solves all the problems. C's family will get 3.33 million cash. This is what they want. Then A and B will get the C's shares, will get the C's wanted shares for free. Then the business can still carry on without the interference of the C's family. This is how it works. Okay? So now we come to the agreement. Okay, Mala has another sharing with us here. My late husband had an enterprise company, Tatika, and he was a sole proprietor, whereby my sister-in-law were working as Tatika teachers. But my sister-in-law, after 5 months after his passing, went to SSM to close that company and nominated herself as the new owner. Okay, in fact, this is wrong. So if the in-law, the sister-in-law is not the administrator, he has no power to act on behalf of the late husband to close down the business. By right, the husband's business as a sole proprietorship shall pass to the beneficiary according to the will of if there is no will according to the Distribution Act. I'm not sure how he managed to close down the business. Or in another way, I believe that he may register another company under his own name and to just take over the business for free. This is what I believe. Or else she cannot simply transfer the ownership of the sole proprietorship to her own without any court documents. So I believe she just started another new sole proprietorship or another new Sendirian Berhad, then he can just enjoy all the business assets and all the business renovation. Okay, but of course, if you want to, you as the beneficiary of the estate, you have the right to claim the business ownership or the business assets from your sister-in-law if he doesn't compensate you properly. Okay, so that's why if you do not have a proper will, so you do not make a proper arrangement on your business, on your assets, then things will happen. You cannot really preserve your business, your wealth for your loved ones. And you see Mala is a very good example. You have to go through this 10 years period, 10 years painful period. So this is very, very bad. So that's why we don't want this to happen to others. We want everyone to really do a proper planning about your will, about your trust, so that you can really pass on your hard-earned money, your business to your loved one. Okay, Evelyn asking, based on the example, does the C family have an option to choose to keep the 1/3 share and continue to receive the dividend of the restaurant? Okay, based on this business succession trust, C's family does not have the option to keep the shares. If you want to keep the shares, you do not do the business succession trust. You only do a proper will to pass on your 1/3 share to your family members. Then you do not need to have the business succession trust. Okay, but again, this is subject to your shareholders agreement with your other shareholders. If your shareholders agreement have a clause saying that in the event of decease of any of the shareholders, the shares shall be transferred to the existing shareholder first. Okay, and the existing shareholder shall pay off the share value to the deceased family members. This is what can be included in the shareholder agreement. Unless your shareholder agreement doesn't have this clause, then you can put up a will to state clearly that this 1/3 share you want to give to this family member. Then they can continue to take over the shares and continue receiving the reward or the dividend of the restaurant. Okay, so we go on. So now, if we set up this buy-sell, if we set up this business succession trust, we need to have this buy-sell agreement. So in this buy-sell agreement, we will set the pricing, and